It's dark. I have to get closer to precisely judge the distance.
Hiding myself wasn't the only reason that I fled into the sewer. It was to be ready, on the off chance that you caught up with me. She didn't teleport! Oh no! I'm too slow!
Hello everybody, Megazord here, back at it again to give you another very exciting video, and for today I'm going to be reviewing a certain scientific Railgun T episode 13 called System. And if you haven't already done so, you can go ahead and click that card in the corner to check my episode 12 review out for Railgun T if you just so happen to miss it or whatever though, and then quickly bounce back over and watch this one though. But man, I gotta say with this episode, oh gosh, okay, I keep thinking we keep hitting this climax though, but you know what, I was definitely not prepared for a short little recap of Kuroko, basically kind of recapping like within like the first 3 to 4 minutes, and you had like an extra like repeated 2 minutes after beforehand, which sort of kind of probably played a little bit into that screen time-ish, that probably could have had us almost getting close to the very tip of the climax though. But I guess it's something kind of like with a pacing sort of kind of thing, which I'll talk a little bit about within like the first part of my review though. But other than those thoughts aside though, man, the fight between Kuroko and Mitori was definitely probably the highlight in this, even more so than Shokuho versus Gensei, and what are actually managing to pull that reversal out that I honestly did not think she was really had it up in her though. But honestly, there was some really good stuff in this episode though, so I just better go ahead and dive up into it though. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this episode review of a certain scientific Railgun T. Coming out of the last episode, many, including me, expected episode 13 to be the climax of this story arc. That does not prove to be fully correct. While 2 of the 3 fronts of the overall problem are resolved, the third and most troublesome part, the transformed and out of control misaka, continues to be a threat to destroy the city. Assumptions that things would climax here did not account for the 4 minutes of Kuroko narrated recap at the beginning of the episode, or the series wasting a couple minutes coming out of the gate very slowly. I will say that the recap was very well done, and honestly it did a lot better at recapping several episodes that happened before this than most other animes do for a whole entire recap episode length work. Like I'm looking at you, Black Clover. Yes, you had quite a bit of those within your long running series though. But with those thoughts aside, resolving the matters with Mitori and Gensei provided plenty enough dramatics on their own, to the point that I would rate this episode a pretty solid 8 out of 10, minus some of the stall tactics. The Kuroko versus Mitori case has been a game of cat and mouse from the very beginning, and though who's the cat and who's the mouse has varied throughout it, looking back, the scenes from the last couple of episodes featuring Mitori always were dodgy about showing much background context, and she has been implied before to be doing her dirty work from the sewers, so her ending up being there isn't a huge shock or surprise, nor is it a surprise that she co-opted one of the flying broadcast drones to use as her spy eye for the battle against Kuroko in the beginning. That her puppet finally nailing Kuroko was a deception was obvious, but the real treat was seeing Kuroko take Mitori out by being willing to take a thrown knife to her hand. Yes, throwing a knife at her, she was willing to take that hit and have that knife go clean through her hand. I mean, ooh, that moment was epic though. In terms of the way it was staged and animated, the scene where she dashes in, slams Mitori in the nose, roundhouse kicks her, and double-footed back kicks her is a thing of beauty. It may now be one of my favorite action sequences in the whole series. Now, Kuroko always has been an effective fighter, but I have a whole new level of respect for her now. And I mean, honestly, you know how Kuroko is throughout this series, and yes, those little moments between Kuroko having that little bit of affection towards Misaka is a little bit odd and a little bit off-putting. in terms of her getting serious and she can have these one-on-one fights like this, she's a bad mamma jamma though. And the sequence also reveals that Dolly and what happened to her is also Mitori's motivation, though I'm not clear about who she's referring to about having to die, but it feels like a little more remains to be revealed there. Last episode's end left Shoko in dire straits, but apparently I was too quick to judge that Gensei has outsmarted her and using mental out on herself to switch the activation and self-destruct codes for exterior in her mind, then make herself forget that she had even done so, was a masterful ploy and a perfect failsafe. Yeah, she did take a big gamble there that Gensei did not just off her immediately, but given that he's not the type to directly get his hands dirty, it probably wasn't a big risk as she feared. And while she's made it clear before that she isn't concerned about Misaka's survival, she does seem to care about her clones, presumably because Dolly was the prototype for them. Even though Shokuho and Mitori have similar motivations for their actions and yet are on totally opposite sides in this conflict is a neat irony. So that just leaves the matter of Misaka, who finally shows signs of collecting herself once the outside interference has ended, but she's also clearly past the point of stopping herself without outside help. Pretty much at this point in the episode, she's just a ticking time bomb, just waiting to go off. And I'm guessing that she and Toma are going to end up working together, willingly or not, on that issue, and I look forward to see how that gets resolved within the next episode. But for now, I will just appreciate the visual effects being used here. While COVID-19 might be causing delays in getting these episodes out, and thankfully we've been somewhat kind of getting these sort of consistently with the dub now, thanks to Funimation, but they are still putting out quite a visual show, and that is all that I basically have for my review though. But good night. Y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below what all did you think about this episode as a whole though. And me personally, yes, that Mitori versus Kozaku fight was definitely the highlight for me. And seeing how, you know, Kuroko was able to use all of her wits and even some side assistance from Saten as well as Uiharu to be able to eliminate and locate exactly where Mitori was at in this thing. And the fact that also Shoko managed to actually outwit Gensei, I honestly could not see that reversal play out. Like I could see almost the incident with Mitori play out as well as the incident with Misaka herself, but I honestly did not know how Shoko was going to be able to pull that reversal out and actually manage to outsmart Gensei, even though Gensei managed to outsmart her on pretty much everything else that she managed to throw at his way though. But honestly, this episode was really good and I'm really looking forward to, you know, the next episode, would it be in episode 14, because shoot, now we're getting down to the meat and potatoes of this thing, and it looks like basically at this point in the game, it honestly comes down to Toma being the last resort in order to kind of bring Misaka back down to earth and have her, you know, sense of humanity be able to return to her before she goes full level 6 and just kind of blows up like a bomb though. But yeah, y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below what all was your favorite part about this episode though. So that about does it for my review over episode 13. But if you really like this review, go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things A Certain Scientific Railgun Tea this season though. But make sure to tune in for my next week's episode review over episode 14 called Dragon Strike whenever we get that episode launch for the dub. So remember y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all.
What is this? I can't hold it back.
Well, whatever's happened, this isn't over yet.